Jim yields back, and I'll go to Mr. Guthrie from Kentucky for 5
Thank
minutes.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, witnesses, for being here. And I can assure you that everybody on this committee, if not everybody in Congress, knows how the grid works. So that we're fully understanding of that. And like Mr. Latta, so he took some of my questions. I spent a lot of time back home. And so we have two big taxpayer subsidized battery plants coming into my district. And so I know companies got their battery plants subsidized, but a lot of people around them didn't. And so our frustration is this, and I've said it before, said to your Secretary Granholm, is every time we seem to bring up issues with going to an all-electric vehicles that are real issues, then we just get dismissed away. And like, oh, you're just naysayers. Matter of fact, one of our colleagues said that if you dismiss this, you're just pro-Chinese. Said it at the last meeting, and I didn't think about it until I was leaving, and I wish I'd have thought of it then because I would have said it when she was in the room, is if you're telling businesses what they have to build, and you're telling consumers what they have to buy, that's far more Chinese-like than what we're proposing on our side. And so it's just the concerns that we just dismiss everything away. And the biggest part of it in my area, in Bowling Green, Kentucky, there's a big battery plant being built. We're glad that it's going to be built there. But for it to even expand, there's going to have to increase our grid. TVA's already said that we're concerned about economic development in the area. And it just seems like, so we subsidize the battery plant. And even if you have the smartest people in the room, they just think they're the smartest. They are the smartest. You can't think of everything that has to be subsidized to make that work. And so I can tell you some of the automotive companies are going to their suppliers, you need to switch from internal combustion engine to, and a matter of fact, they're telling me you need to do both. You have to do electric and internal combustion engine because we're not sure. Obviously, the consumer doesn't dismiss all these issues. And we've seen the secretary, we've seen the chairman of Ford Motor Company try to drive electric cars and they can't charge them. And so consumers look at that and go, why would I buy a car like that if the Secretary of Energy can't charge her car? And so that was pretty negative, actually, to the electric car, what had just happened recently. And so the problem is as a country, we're just going to subsidize everything? And then that's where we get to is to move forward. And it's just really frustrating as we look forward. And then you see these rules that the hearing's about today coming down. And every one of my electric suppliers said their biggest issue is getting transformers. And now we have new rules. I know you're saying you think these aren't going to impact the distribution of those. But I can tell you people on the ground feel that way. They may not be in the room here in Washington, D.C., but people who are trying to buy these and move these forward, who I think would be very, very valuable for you to listen to, really have concerns about where this is going. And if you'd like to comment on that, I'd appreciate it.
I apologize. My head was bobbing up and down during that whole. I absolutely agree with you. Talking to the people on the ground is absolutely important, and that's why I personally and other members of the department have been with so far, the majority of the American distribution transformer manufacturers in their offices, talking to them about what they're facing, speaking with each and every one of the power associations, EPRI, APPA, and RECA. We're working this in a way that has very practical implications. You all have the very difficult job of trying to figure out big policy decisions. What I'm trying to do and what the Department of Energy is trying to do and what our sister agencies at the Department of Labor, Department of Commerce are trying to do is to work with people on the ground to find near-term solutions to lessen and alleviate this crunch that we're feeling, but also build in long-term solutions so that we're not continually fixing the same problem over and over. That comes from grid modernization, and that also comes from the modernization of the components on the grid, transformers being one of them.
So you get to the point, though, because this is kind of some of the problems with government subsidies. People chase subsidies. So they move to subsidies, and I appreciate what you said, that you're sending a signal that this is where we're going so people can long-term invest. But if you get to a point, and I know people have told you that because you're testifying to that, and I absolutely believe you, but I've heard differently from different groups, and we're probably not talking to the same level of people, just people out moving forward. And what you fear, you get to the point a couple years down the road or a year down the road, and you say, well, this is really going to delay transformers, so we're going to suspend, we're going to waive. That happens all the time here. And industry just doesn't know where to go when that moves forward. And I can tell you, move from 2/3 of all cars being EV in 9 years, which is everybody other than people in Washington think that's impossible. But people have to invest in that because that's the rule. And you get 2 or 3 years down the road and you say, well, that's not going to happen. We got to waive the rule or change the rule or whatever. It's just chaos. It's chaos in the investing community, and it costs money. It costs money, and it costs people the ability to live productive lives because they're always chasing their. So it's a real concern, and I know that you're concerned about it as well. And I just want to share that. He asked my question, so I just wanted to share my concern.
Thank you. I will take that back, but please rest assured that the work of the Department of Energy is not about trying to take choices away from consumers. It's trying to give them more options, more choices for technologies, for products, for services that will actually save them money and help the reliability of the grid at the same time. We'll do our darndest on that, and you have my commitment to that and to work with you all on that.
Gentleman's time expired.